say is falsifying information. So if you, let's say you have a watch and you're talking badly about another company's watch, even though that it's not true, you're just trying to do that to claim opportunity costs at that time. It's not very viable, because that way you may be able to just put yourself in the back burner, or potentially not even make a sale, because somebody can give a bad review online and then that can hurt your business in the long run. So you need to be ethical from an online perspective, from an offline perspective, from an in-person perspective, email perspective. So those are things that I looked at and I could see. And definitely, when you look at all those things, exaggeration is another thing. If I'm telling you that this phone is waterproof, and then I go tell you more things about the phone that is not there, you know, you're just trying to sell it to me just because it's waterproof. It's going to have a bad taste in my mouth when I realize it's not. And now I have to come back to you to claim my money back. So it's not good, because processes like that lead to distrust. And that, of course, leads to disloyalty and, of course, no sales. So those are the things that I found out.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Favor. We really appreciate. That is very good that you did your assignment. I really appreciate that. And I can see our mentor is smiling. That means
Yes.
he's very happy. He's very happy. Yes, yes. Who wants to take it next? Favor has opened the floor. We have the next maybe 5 minutes. The next 5 minutes. The people I can see on my screen, I can see Charity Modoni, I can see Maurice Mboro, I can see Esther Mokami. Yes, Maurice Mboro, I can see you are raising your hand. Go for it, sir.
Yes, good morning, Eva, and good afternoon, my fellow comrades. Some of the ethical issues I found was being accountable. You find that as a sales manager, you're not accountable of what you have told your potential customers. So you defer responsibility when there is an issue, instead of taking up and owning up, to push it away from yourself and making yourself seem as if it was not your fault. Secondly, it was on following through on commitments. Some people will tell you something, maybe a commitment, but they will not measure up to it. And you can remember an example given a while back by our mentor. He told us there was something he failed to include in a certain deal, but at the end of the day, the company had to foot, that shows that he was able to follow through on his commitment and to keep his word. But other people, you'll find that it's an ethical issue where they don't follow through on their commitment. Yeah, thank you.
Well done.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mboro. Next one, I can see Catherine is ready. Catherine, I can see you've said, yes, I can. Yes, you can. Go ahead. Catherine, you are there? Claire Andalo, I can see Claire Andalo saying disclosing customers' personal, disclosing customers' personal or confidential information. Thank you, Claire. I can see Paris says another ethical issue, which is unethical, is sales and marketing is bad mouthing your competitors, products and services, trying to win a customer. Very good. Thank you, Paris. Who else? Claire Ndalo, you are saying another unethical issue is being dishonest to customers in order to get increased sales. Very true, very true. Okay, who else wants to go live? I have read the ones that you've typed.
Yes.
Charity Mwadhoni, karibu.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
One of the points I can give on the ethical issues is product exaggeration, where people say they exaggerate about the performance of a product, but in reality, it can't do those things they are saying. Yeah. Thank you.
Very true. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Mm.
Perfect. That is great. Who else? I can read another one from Evelyn Okiro. She's saying that charging customers higher price than that of the customers. Yes. Okay. Anybody else who wants to go? Maybe you want to speak, just unmute and speak. Good. Esther Mokami, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this chance to give it a trial. In my line of work as a therapist, what I was looking at is private and confidential reports of our clients. They should never get to hear about their about their reports elsewhere apart from our center. To keep our word, we have different types of therapy, and each therapy has a specific period of time that it takes. So you should not do shortcuts. Today you do an hour, tomorrow 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and all that. You should keep to your word. And then also having a standard price. You should not charge people according to just the way you want. You have to have a standard price. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic. Think we are good now, Naglai? Naglai, you are muted.
Sorry for that. I'm saying we have one more that is written. Let me just read it from Paris Cherotich. She says, failing to comply to laws and regulations of the land is another unethical issue. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Nagilai, for that facilitation. And thank you for all the participants. I can see you are very, very good students. You are people who went out there, researched, and also discovered some of the issues that for us who are in sales and marketing, we must be able to take care of so that we are able to gather our people, to gather our customers. And today I am in my right shoes. We are talking about real estate. You know, real estate. Somebody say that whatever that you do, you need real estate. You breathe real estate. You live in a real estate. I can see Kiva is already in real estate, you know, right there. And of course, I can see everybody is surrounded by real estate. And I'm sure that most of us here, they want one time to invest in real estate, either to participate directly or indirectly. And today we'll be having a chance to ask you matters real estate. I know that when I talk about Kenya, I'll talk about Africa, because we have our African brothers. However, some of them, they will retire in Kenya. I can see Favor will retire in Kenya and be visiting Nigeria as he wishes. So I'll be able to give examples more about Kenya, because that's where we are. And the topic is very interesting topic. And somebody says, I can't hear anything, or is it my network? So Nagilai, is it our customer's network or our network? Nagilai, can you hear me? You can do like this. Okay, fantastic. So I'm sure the person who cannot hear me, we have benefits of recording, and I'm sure that the network could be low in their side. Fantastic. So the theme today is local real estate landscape knowledge. So I'll be sharing some general knowledge about real estate. But maybe you're asking ourselves, hey, George, wait a minute. What is real estate? Many people, when they hear real estate, what comes in their mind is basically buildings. But real estate is bigger, it's wider. You're talking about the land. Yani, land itself is real estate. We are talking about residential real estate. We are talking about commercial real estate. When we talk about commercial, we have offices, we have warehouses, we have schools, we have infrastructure. All these are commercial real estate. And of course, basically you can, shorten it. It's basically land and buildings. And very, very interesting that all of us, we need house, we need land, we need the houses to rent, we need rental income. And real estate is like a big factor of production, especially land. It's a factor of production. And basically, someone was asking me, George, when you do infrastructure, is it real estate? And my answer is, we have many people out there. Their business is just to set up infrastructure. You know, I have a friend of mine who has been very, very good in setting up schools. You know, they build a school infrastructure, then they lease it. And that's a big business. I have another Asian friend of mine. His job is just to build warehousing. He doesn't manage. He only builds these warehouses along Mombasa Road. And his job is leasing. So it's a big business in terms of this kind of infrastructure. There are others who say their job is just to set up big offices, either sell them or lease. These are opportunities that most of us, we can be able to look forward and say, maybe in future, I want to be in that particular venture. For us at Optiven, we are only in land. You know, we add value to land. But the real estate is big, especially in our local market. It's huge. It's massive. You know, the other day, someone said to me that they were looking for a warehouse along Ruiru. They can't find. These are opportunities available for all of us. And maybe you may ask, hey, George, how do I start? And how did you start yourself, as George was sharing? I always believe in the saying that you can start very small. You can start very small. I remember when I was working in Kakuma refugee camp, I always dreamt of having my own building, my own house. And the way I started was very small. My salary could not pay the mortgage. But I remember the financial institution asked me, do you have any other source of money? And I remember I was running a small shop in Ghana. So I brought the receipts. And that's how I got my first house. So you can start very small. I know there are some people who are in publishing. There are some people who are doing therapy. And you're saying, I do not have big money. But you can start very, very small with those little savings and take that particular mortgage for a long time. Because every time you take a mortgage, it gives you discipline to save. It gives you discipline whereby when you don't have money, you want to say, what else can I do? If it is Moinama who is selling books, you want to know how many more books can I sell to raise the deposit. The second way you can also venture in real estate. The second way is join groups. Yeah, join. And I think our sisters are very good in that. You know, shamas, women. And for us men, we need to style up. We need to roll our sleeves. You can join the groups. There's one group that I really, really admire. This group is from the UK. And this group is a group of families. They call themselves Wananchi in Diaspora. Can you imagine? So every month, they contribute one pound. And they have done this for very many years. Remember, 1 pound is Kenya shillings 140. They have done it for many years. Then they said, wait a minute, can we increase 1 pound to 10 pounds? I'm told currently they are doing 50 pounds per family. 7 years ago, they joined Optiven and they said, what can Optiven do to us? And they came and they bought about 48 plots. Can you imagine, as a team? Right now, they are now building up resources to do residential houses to rent. And you're doing their calculations. They are going to earn about 3 million every other month as a group. And that's why for as a person, You can be able to venture into local real estate through this kind of strategy, whereby you join a group, because most of us, we are very good on our WhatsApp groups, and especially political ones. And if a political post is done there, we participate, we contribute. Yesterday, I belong to a group of my former school, Chiga Boys, and I could see people exchange about the BBI. You know, for those who don't know BBI, make a favor. It's a new way of redefining our constitution. And the discussion was hot. Hey, people are contributing. Even people I never see them contribute, they are contributing. So I was asked, assuming these guys, 200 of them, was an investment crowd, what else can they do? They can do exploits. And for us, you know, for all of you, all of us, do we have those particular groups that we can say, can we do investment ventures? Wow. And that's a good way of penetrating real estate. Number three, another strategy that I've seen it work in Kenya is SACCOs. Joining a savings and credit organization. You join a SACCO, you save there, and then you can borrow. You know, SACCO loans are cheaper. But most of us, we fear SACCO loans. Even here at Optiven, we have SACCOs. And you find there are many people who have not joined. Yet, this is the source of money. You can go there and borrow. You know, one of my friends, Manu Shadadia, once told me that right now, Manu is a billionaire, multi-billionaire, but he has never seen somebody getting wealthy because of savings. Savings can only support you in a small way. So people borrow. You borrow, you utilize that particular money, and then that money gives birth. In our local language, we say there are several types of money. There is male money and female money. And every time our community transacts, they say that I pray to get female money, the money that gives birth. And that is very, very key. That every time you get money, ask God, can this money multiply? Very, very interesting. And for SACCOs, they help us to borrow this particular money, and we are able to multiply this money, invest it in real estate, and that money keeps giving back. Can you imagine people who buy properties for rent? So even old, Morris, even at the time you are 60, Morris is calling and say, hey, George, I have a property in Buruburu. Where is my rent? That's what we are talking about. But you cannot do it purely on your savings. You can do it either through borrowing through SACCO or maybe financial institutions. Number four, how you can also start more with the real estate is basically that deposit saving, the personal savings. And that's why I encourage all of us, wherever you are, develop that idea or a habit or a character of savings. Remember, we talked about 70-10-10 rule. 10% tithe, 10% savings, 10% investment, and of course, you have a whole 70% to take care of other needs that you may have. The fifth idea on how to venture into real estate is schemes, investment schemes. And I remember my late mother talked about these schemes. And I remember she was telling me that when they were growing up, when she got married, they were living in a village after Mau Mau War. And there were these schemes, and they were saying, there is a scheme in a place called Kieni. There is a scheme in Nanyuki. There is a scheme in Saburu. And they used to pay 2 shillings to register in that particular scheme. That particular scheme goes out there, buy a big piece of land, and then they divide. Those of us who are coming from Machakos, Kagudo Road, it was a huge 3,000 scheme. And the people are only paying 7,000 to get 100 acres land. People know Siokemau. It was a scheme, 5,000 shillings, you get 5 acres. Today, the schemes have gone down, but they are still there. So if you find a good scheme, you can join and then start contributing slowly by slowly. Number 6 on how to venture into real estate is joining hands. Joining hands. What do you do with your friends? Can you join hands and do something together? I'll give my own example. I used to work for World Vision, Somalia. And most of the times on the weekend, we were working half day. And we had a cafeteria within the facility. And one time I was speaking to my friends, and I asked them, by the way, how much money do you save in a month? I think we're about 15 of us, and only 5 people who are saving something by the end of the month. But within the discussion, we started contributing some money, joining hands, and we said, can we buy a property together? Can you imagine? 15 of us, we started contributing. And then we introduced the group to Equity Bank. So the money we had contributed, we borrowed. And that's how we got our first property in a place called Sunrise Park. So we got our first property. Unfortunately, these guys kept moving. Some became politicians. Others are big business people. So the group ceased. But the good thing, we still collect rent from Sunrise Park. Why? When we were working together, we joined hands. And I'm sure that you have 5 or 6 friends. Maybe after this particular discussion, you can ask yourself, can we join hands and start investing in real estate? Why not? If you don't do it, who will? You are the right person. Number 7, you can now take the bull by its horns. You go to the bank, you borrow money, and buy real estate. Personally, I am servicing my 4th mortgage. I believe in borrowing long term. And every time I borrow, I find myself paying earlier. You go to a bank, sign a mortgage for 20 years, but in Kenyan banks, they allow you to pay earlier than 20 years. What happens when you pay earlier? You save on interest. And every time you pay, you tell them, reduce capital expenditure. That way, it can allow you to buy property every 5 years, And don't tell me that I have little resources. We have very many avenues. The other day, I saw one of the big banks says they can finance 105%. Unfortunately, especially for us Christians, we fear debt. We fear debt. But reading my Bible, I discovered that even the old times, people are borrowing. Do you remember the parable of the guy who was forgiven, his debts? Then he went home, and there's another guy with some debts. Akamfunga. The guy was tied, and he was forced to pay. And then the master heard what the guy had done, and he was also recalled and told, now even you go inside. So don't fear to borrow. Even government like Kenya government, they are borrowing. Government of Nigeria, they are borrowing. Governments are borrowing. US is borrowing from China. So you cannot be debt-free as long as you service your debts. So I want to demystify some of the faith. People say, me, I'm debt-free. I don't want to borrow. My friend, you'll be living a mediocre life. Number 8, this is an interesting one. Where man inheritance. You can inherit real estate. Who unto you if your father have got nothing or your mother? You need to work smarter, to work harder. And for us in Kenya, there are very many fellows who depend on inheritance. The guy cannot move out of the village. They are waiting for a quarter acre from their father. In fact, a story is told of a guy who killed the parents because they were waiting for a piece of land. And the parent was not dying. The parent was 90 years. The guy was waiting for the parent to die. The guy is 60. So don't be like that particular guy. Yes, inheritance is good, but you can be able to use other strategies to venture into real estate. I'm so excited to see many organizations coming from outside Kenya and venturing into real estate. Wow, allow me to share with you some risk involved when you venture into real estate so that you are aware. So that I don't want to hear that Morris went to real estate and something happens. I don't want to hear Catherine went to real estate and something bad happened. So I'll be able to share with you some risks that has affected me personally. I want to hear when Waidaka went to buy real estate, you did the right thing. Charity Mudoni, you did the right thing. I can share with you some of the risks, the dangers involved. I remember when I started real estate, I was baptized by this particular risk. I bought a property with 2 titles. So one of the risks is having properties that are fake. They are not genuine. They are not real. And across East Africa, there are so many properties that are fake. The other day I was talking to a Chinese friend of mine. They went to Kajiado, bought 100 acres, set up a factory, complete. 2 years later, the real owner came with a title and said, this land belongs to me. Hey, can you imagine? So they went to court. When they went to court, actually, the Chinese had built on the fake land. What happens? They had to buy the same land second time. Can you imagine? They had to negotiate with the real owner to buy it for the second time. And I was talking to a friend of mine in Malawi. They have similar challenges. South Africa, they have similar challenges. I don't know other countries. So these are some of the things that you must be aware of. But I will be able to tell you how we at Opten we do it so that we reduce the risk. You may not literally kill the risk, but you can reduce the risk. Number two, wrong partnership. Yeah. If you buy a property with the wrong partner, you will live to regret. You know, I do a lot of mentorship to business people. You know, last year, I was counseling some two friends. They ventured into real estate together. They made the money. The money became very sweet. The third year, they split. Can you imagine? You are making the money, but you are splitting. So I urge all of you, even as you go to partnership, identify, verify, vote the partner you are partnering with. It is not everybody who smiles is a good partner. So check it out. And I'm sure that most of you, some of you are in business, you know that you have some partnership that failed, maybe because you not obey your gut feeling. Maybe that's a discussion of another day. Number three, risk involved in real estate. Wow, companies going insolvent. Oh my goodness. Companies being auctioned. You know, you buy a property from a certain company and the company becomes insolvent, liquidated. Last week, I was helping a customer friend of mine from Dallas, Texas. They bought a property with a sister and the company no longer exists. So you go to Sharia house, the company is not there. They wound up. What do you do? Who unto you if you had not transferred title deed to your name? That's why when Morris, you go out there, you buy a property. I know that Kenyan people like keeping titles in a original owner's name. Please transfer the document to your name. The same with individuals. You might buy a property from maybe an individual. That individual goes to be with Abraham. The individual dies. Can you imagine? You start the succession journey. You can be able to buy the property, transfer it immediately to your name so that you are safe. Number four, another risk in real estate, hidden charges. Wow, hidden charges. You buy a property, you're excited. Maybe you buy an office space. Later, you discover there's something called VAT on commercial real estate. And VAT is big. It is actually 14%. You know, I was solving a dispute with my dentist. You know, my dentist went out there, bought an office, and they paid everything. The time the guy was going to transfer, he was told, the office you bought at 10 million, there is a pending government charge of 16% VAT. Can you imagine 16% of 10 million? That's huge. So these are risks that you need to mitigate from the word go, so that the time you are negotiating, you are asking, hey, favor, you are selling me this commercial real estate. Are there other charges that I need to pay so that you're able to project and also to budget? Very, very interesting. The fifth risk is government regulations. Government regulations. Kenya today, we have two types of ownership, and many people don't understand it. One of the ownership is called lease. Lease is whereby you are given authority by government to use a facility for 99 years renewable. Lease means you'll be paying taxes, you'll be paying rent and some charges by the county charges. And these rent and charges, government charges, are paid every year. So every year you pay. Some zones pay between 80,000, depending on the value of the property, all the way to 26,000 a month, Kenya shillings. The other kind of ownership, they call it freehold. Freehold means once you have the freehold title, it is yours, plus your generations, and generations to come. You don't pay any fees, you don't pay any rent, You don't pay any charges. So when you're buying, you need to ask, is it a lease? Is it a freehold? Freehold is basically for agricultural land, but for leasehold is properties within Nairobi metropolis or county metropolis. And this lease is very interesting because if you don't renew it automatically, it goes to the government. So you must study when is the lease ending. And those who are willing to buy apartments, before you buy, ask how many years are remaining. If the lease is less than 30 years, it is not appealing to purchase because you'll be able to renew maybe sooner than later. Wow. Number six, the sixth risk is community charges. Wow, community charges. Community charges. Kenya is 67% of Kenyan land is owned by communities. Nagirai knows that the whole of Samburu is community land. You know, so if somebody like Catherine goes there or Waithaka goes there, purchase land without knowing it's for community, I can tell you, you try to process the documentation, you would find. And that's why we always tell people, don't buy land on certificate. You know, certificate is not a legal document. So Esther Mukami, if you hear somebody selling you land on certificate, don't touch it because certificate, the best certificate is only for polio, not for properties. Ensure the land has got title, not certificate. The last one, the seventh risk is natural disaster. The disaster that happens naturally. You know, you saw the other day, we had some very serious attacks from our neighbors. We won't mention them online. Serious attacks. And these attacks led many people, you know, without real estate. You know, something happens and the whole thing goes flat. Another disaster is disaster of flooding. You know, there are some people who bought some properties in lower side of the city of Nairobi. You find that the whole place is flooded. You cannot live in that particular place. And disasters are many. So as you go out there to look for real estate, check the terrain, check the topography to see that you're not exposing your family in this disaster. Wow, how do you check? How do you minimize those risks? How do you check your investment? I'll share with you a few things, you know, a few things. Wow. And this is what I do. And I know you can do it. Number one, always visit your investment, visit your property. Yeah. Before you commit, just visit there. Tembea pale, walk there, feel the property. Number two, check the social amenities. Wow. Social amenities. I know Morris is going to have bigger families. Are there schools there? You know, are there hospitals, social amenities? Mr. Jamoke, I know maybe check whether the roads are passable. Charity Mudoni, are there amenities there? Are there gym, for example? Check amenities. Number three, search informally. Yani, do informal search. Plus the formal search. Talk to the neighbors. Ask them, hey, by the way, this Victory Gardens by Optiven. Unaiona namna gani? Is it true? Because neighbors have got information. I remember one time I went to buy a property in Kajiado, and there was an old man who was guarding, you know, grazing. And I asked him, by the way, do you know this property? Without knowing, he gave me all the search. Oh, don't you know there was some war here? There's another owner of this particular property. And immediately I withdrew from commitment. So you can be able to do that in formal search. As also you do formal search using the normal way of land registry or e-citizen. Number four, audit individuals that are selling to you. Audit them, check them out. Who is George Washiori? Who is Nagilai? Check them out. Check the company. How long has the company operated? If you find a company was rich the last year, don't commit. You know, allow me to comment this. Kenyans are very interesting character. You know, we had a company that was selling some properties near Oreseren. Then when a friend of mine came, I asked him, by the way, where is land in Oreseren? No, they are doing off-plan houses there. I asked them, How old is the company? 9 months. I asked the guy, don't commit unless you are sure. The guy thought I was joking. He went ahead and committed 2 million. 3 weeks later, the company was in the media. It was fake. So my friend lost 2 million. So don't be in a hurry. Getting 2 million is not easy. Check these companies out. When are they registered? Who are the directors? What's their past records? Are they people that keep their word? Very, very important. Check them out. Don't be in a hurry. If somebody is selling you quickly, selling you something quickly, be very careful. Number 5, you better be slow and sure. Be slow and sure. Yeah. Be slow. Don't be in a hurry. Do your searches nicely. Talk to your wakili, talk to your lawyer. Be slow but sure. When the deal is too good, think twice. Waidaka, when the deal is too good, you think twice. Evelyn, when the deal is too good, think twice. Mary, when the deal is too good, think twice. Number 6, have a signed agreement. Yeah. Krala Dolo, ensure the agreement is good before you sign it. Have a signed agreement. Don't be in a rush. Sign the agreement. Yeah. Paula Lisa, ensure the agreement is good. Peter Diangui from Nyeri, I know you are going to venture into real estate, and you need to talk after this. Have the agreement signed. Number 7, the last one. Check their past records. Yeah, waangalie, check their past records. It is just like the churches. You know, nowadays there are so many churches. So many churches. Before you join a church, check their past records. There are some people who use Jesus Christ as an entry, but once you enter, you find other things that are strange. Yeah, you start being beaten by the pastor, harassed because you did not check out. So check out their doctrine. The same with the real estate. Check out the projects. What have they done before? Wow. Finally, because I can see I have 10 minutes. Finally, today's marathon. Why should you invest in real estate for now and the future? Why? Why real estate? Why become a Donald Trump? Why real estate? Number 1, real estate is part and parcel of our life. Yeah. Abraham himself, he invested in real estate. He refused the inheritance. He actually bought a piece of land. Arimathea had real estate. That's how he was able to offer a space to bury Jesus. Can you imagine? So you can't ignore real estate. Number 2, capital appreciation. Yeah, real estate is so good in terms of capital appreciation. I remember year 2000, I bought a small plot in Syokimau at 70,000. Today, the same plot is 6 million. People who bought Kajiado, you know, yesterday I had a museum at GMC place and was telling me that 1980 bought 3 acres at 200 in Kitengela. Today, the same acres 30 million. So can you imagine? 3 acres now is 30 times 3, 90 million. So the rate of appreciation is so high. Those who are investing in the counties, you understand what I mean. Wow, that's why you should persuade favor to invest in Kenya. But then you can invest on leasehold. The appreciation is high, very, very high. Number 3, it is a way of storing your wealth. Yeah, you can store your wealth. Once you, like now the house I bought in Komanok, those days, I bought it at 1.9 million. Today is 10 million. It's a sure way of storing your wealth because real estate does not change. Whether there is war, there is fire, it remains. Number 4, it is income generating. Income generating. You have your own apartments, every month you get income. You have your own school you are leasing, every month you get money from lease. Number 5, the social status. They say that the beauty of owning, it is very inspiring. The social status. I know there are people here who say, hey, we have a property in Nairobi, I have a property in Eldoret. I'm sure Waidaka is now counting. I have a property here. There is some beauty when Waidaka sits with men on a social gathering and say, hey, I own something in Kagudo Road. There is kind of respect that you get, you know, very, very interesting. Number 6, Why real estate? It is security. Today, with a title deed, you can be able to give it as a guarantee. I remember one time when I was getting my passport, you know, I had no money, you know, and I took my wife to Mata Hospital. My car was very old. I remember it was KAK. So I gave these guys the logbook of the car. And the chief accountant said, can I see how the car looks like? We went to see the car. That time the bill was piling at Mata Hospital. When he saw the car was very old. So he declined the logbook. And then he asked me, do you have a title deed? Oh, I remember. Yes, I have a title deed. I rushed home, came with the title, asked me, this title, where is the facility? I said, it's a house in Komarok. Immediately, they took the title. I signed the transfer document just in case I don't pay the bill. They sell the house, and I was released. Can you imagine? And I have seen many of my friends. You go to a card, they ask you, do you have a title? There's a name they use. Yeah, you hang the title, you hang it. Hanging means you have given them the title to keep it. You hang it. And once you have it, you can be able to safeguard yourself from this kind of embarrassment. So it is a security in terms of need. It can also be security in the bank. You can take the title to the bank and then you get the money. So it's amazing. It's interesting to own real estate. So I encourage all of you. You may not own the real estate now, but you can plan to own it using all the strategies that I have given you. So don't just stay there renting. You can start small and keep going. So I think I'll stop there, and in about 5 minutes, in case there is any question, and I'll ask Nagilai to facilitate the Q&A for the next 5 minutes. Asante sana, you are now enabled, you are now real estate gurus, and who knows, maybe tomorrow you can start doing what Optivate is doing, because real estate is huge. We believe in abundance mentality. You can be able to come to this country, to Africa, and participate in a real estate. Real estate exists. Back to Naglai.
Very good. Wow, that was awesome. That was great. Yes. Hey, how did you feel, guys? I'm very sure now we have real estate gurus in the house. We have guys who can overtake Donald Trump, you know, as real estate gurus. Yes, I can see some smiles, and I'm very sure the smiles indicate that something has happened and somebody has learned something. Good. Now it's about time we can go to questions, and I want us to take questions in the next few minutes. I have the first question from, because of time, I have the first question from Favor Obasike. I have the first question from you. And the first question is, how do you find the best insurance policy for your real estate properties? That is the first question.
Wow.
And,
wow.
Yes,
thank you, Favor. I'll give an example of Kenyan insurance companies. We have very, very good insurance. Maybe I won't mention names because I know some of us are actually running insurance like Moinamo. And the only thing we do not have in Kenya is insurance of risk. For example, you go buy a property, but you are conned. We don't have that kind of insurance. But we do have insurance for houses. We have insurance for commercial real estate. We have an insurance for an office like this one. So you can be able to engage the big five, and then they can give you a quote. The good thing is that the insurance for buildings, warehousing, schools, it's very affordable. So it's something that is very, very affordable. But insuring about the risk, we do not have that yet in Kenya. So if you go out there, you are conned, or you buy a fake title, we don't have an insurance that covers that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Favor. I believe you are well answered. The next question is from Josephine Kemani. We have very few minutes, 5 minutes to go. Josephine Kemani is asking, kindly clarify, what are land rates about? Land rates.
Wow. Thank you, Josephine Kemani. land rates is taxes you pay the county government or national government. What you pay national government is called levy. What you pay county is called rates. A good example is Machakos, for example. If you have a property in Syokimau, maybe 50 by 100, the rate is about 1,300. If you have a property in the city of Nairobi, a property below 20 million, you pay about 2,000 to 3,000 per year. So they say that since you are within enjoying the facility of the government, so you pay that small fee to the government because they're giving you security, they're giving you water. If you're in areas with sewer, they're giving you sewer. So that's why they charge that those rates. You know, they are building rates, they are land rates, and of course, if you're in the machinari, you're in the rural areas. Now that one is freehold. You don't need to pay any rates. But as long as you're in the counties, you pay the government for those services. The amount depends on the value of your property, the value of your land. Of course, you know, in the new constitution, they were proposing that every Kenyan to pay rates, but that was not approved. Thank you, Dr. Naglai.
Very good. Yes, as you sip a glass of water, you can also be checking on your sound. I don't know why it is going down. Now, there are other comments, and I think there is a question down there. There is a comment from Charity. She says, awesome insights. Thank you, sir. There is Paula Lisa Bonchaberry. She says, that was quite informative, now empowered. Claire Ndalo says, wow, that was so informative. I'm wiser now in matters real estate. Thank you, sir. We have Jomuke. She says, thank you very much, sir. My eyes are now widely opened. Very good. Here is a question from Waidaka. He says, is it good to involve a lawyer in buying of a property? And that should be our last question so that we will be done.
Wow, thank you, Nagilai. I think it's very important that you involve a lawyer, not any lawyer, a good lawyer. I have some friends who lost money through these fake lawyers. So ensure that the lawyer has got experience, they have an office, and then they give you a guarantee that they are going to represent you very well. So yes, Waidaka, yes, it's very important to involve a lawyer. Nagila, I can see there's somebody asking, there's another comment, maybe you can check before we go.
Yes, Catherine says, Nagila, my question, please, I sent 15 minutes ago. I'm scrolling up, I'm checking. Catherine, I can see your comments. I can see that time you said you can't hear. Then I can see again from Favor Obasike. I've not actually seen your question. Did you send before the comments that you gave? Because maybe I can't see your question.
Maybe you can
repeat directly. Yes, actually, Catherine, you can unmute and ask.
Yeah, I think that's better. You can hear me?
Yes.
Hello, you can hear me?
Can hear you.
My question was, I had a question concerning ancestral land, and I'm just wondering what happens to these lands that do not have a proper documentation, but they have numbers attached to them. What is the process of following so that you can be able to legalize it?
Okay, if I got the question right from Catherine, is that, what happens when you have this certificate, the one I really discouraged. By the way, why I educate people is that I also have got certificate of Kehumweri development. I bought 8 plots in Kehumweri. Kehumweri, for the sake of favor, means a hot knife put in the body. So I think I should have checked the meaning of Kehumweri. and I still have those certificates. They have never produced title for the last 20 years. I also have certificates of Kiamombi and others for Boy Kamete. You know Boy Kamete, the fellow who always fight. So sometimes it's very, very paining that you have certificates, but you cannot produce the titles. But in case you have some, you can check whether those companies exist, go to their offices and insist on the copy of the title. But most probably, many Kenyans have lost properties because of these certificates. By the way, certificate means nothing because you cannot enforce it in the law. You cannot go to court with it. Actually, the agreement is better than certificate because with an agreement, you can pursue the directors of that particular customer, company to pay you. I hope I've answered my sister there.
Good. I believe, Catherine, your question is well answered. We have actually, our time is up, and I believe we can end it there. However, we have how many? We have 2 questions. Can we handle those 2 so that we'll be done?
Yes.
One of them is, let me ask both so that you can just handle both at once. One of them is, are valuation reports necessary before buying a property? Are valuation reports necessary before buying a property? The second question is, sir, please, do you also buy land or you only sell land or you only sell? Okay.
Well, thank you. Valuation is mandatory if you are being financed by the bank. And as an individual, remember valuation is expensive. So, and most of the developers like Optiven, sometimes we put our prices like slightly above the current value. Why? Because we tell you, we are going to put water there. We are doing cable roads. We are doing Solomonic Gate. We are doing security wall. So you pay before we do the facilities. So you may find that if you get a valuer, maybe a property you're selling at 8 million, the valuer may give it 6 million. Why? The valuer values what is on the ground. But if the valuer comes and value when you have done the value addition, you may find the same property you're selling at 8 million is maybe 15 million. But it is mandatory when you are being financed by the bank. That's what we do. We explain to the valuer that we have made these customers promise. We are doing capital roads, we are doing water, we are doing water tanks, and then they are able to understand and justify to the banks. It's also important that if you're not sure that the value of land is what the developer is selling to you, yes, you can do valuation for your own goodness or for your own sake or maybe for your financing. But if you have done your own investigations, maybe you are buying a house in Upper Hill and maybe the house is 10 million, the neighborhood is 12, you are within the range. Do we always buy or sell land? Yes, we do both. We buy and sell. But when we are buying, we buy in huge, huge land, like 100 acres. And then we add value to that particular land. We don't buy smaller pieces. We buy big, but we add value to it. And of course, we have a buying department that if you have a friend who have got maybe 200 acres, 300 acres, there's a department that always check whether it's the right location, the owners, and all that. And of course, when we buy, we finance it through the bank. That's it. I think back to Naglai.
Perfect. Good. We are good. I believe each and every one of us has learned a lot today. And right about now, it's 4:05. That is Kenyan time. I know Baski is different. So, guys, I think we are done for the class today. Thank you so much for being there today. And we appreciate our mentor for great knowledge. Today he was top notch. Today he had even more knowledge. I'm very sure it's only that the time has lapsed because he has more than that to share on real estate. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your well done research and also your great shared experience. We really appreciate. Right about now, I think we can end our class today. See you next week. God bless you and keep you well. We value you. Asante sana.
God bless you. God bless you. Have a good weekend.
Okay,
Asante sana.
bye.
Thank you. Fantastic.